What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Philly to Detroit Boxing. Man, we got a very special guest on with us today, man. We got Jason Moloney, WBO World Champ, man, 27-2. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, mate. Thanks for having me on. It's good to speak to you guys.
Just kind of speaking on how you got started in the sport. Obviously you've reached the pinnacle. World champion now. How did you get started in the journey?
I started boxing when I was 13 years old. At that stage, me and my twin brother, I'm a twin, we both wanted to be professional football players at Australian rules football. We've got our own code of football out here in Australia, and that was our love at the time. We just wanted to be professional footballers, and in the off season, didn't really have anything to do, so we dabbled in a few different sports, and we had developed a little bit of a love for boxing somehow. I'm not too sure who it was, but somebody bought us a pair of gloves when we were pretty young, and me and my brother would put them on and we'd just fight in the lounge room and in the backyard, and just didn't know what we were doing. No one in the family ever boxed. No one showed us how to box, but we just two competitive brothers that just wanted to fight. And in the off season, we said to our dad, "Can you please take us to the boxing gym? We want to start boxing." And eventually after we nagged him for a few months, he took us down to the local gym, and we just fell in love with it. We boxed for the next 3 years, just having fun with it. But at the age of 16, we decided we'd start fighting, and we wanted to see how far we could go. We both didn't have a very good start to boxing. I lost my first 3 amateur fights, and my brother lost his first 7 amateur fights, and and then we thought, let's make a decision here. We either want to play footy or we want to box, and we both decided to quit football and concentrate on boxing, and started to train, every day and take the sport seriously. And then we started to win, and then we just developed this real love for boxing, and we wanted to see how far we could go. And fast forward 20 years, we're both, well, he's a former world champion, I'm a world champion, and we get to do what we love every single day. So we're blessed.
You on a 6-fight winning streak right now. Who is you looking for next for your next opponent? Like, who you view as kind of your big fight out there?
And there's some really exciting fights in the division now. Obviously, the goal was always to become world champion, but I'm far from satisfied now. I've got the one belt. I am hungry for a lot more, and believe I'm capable of achieving a lot more in the sport. So now it's about chasing the other belts. I definitely want to unify the division and become undisputed is the main goal. I've got Emmanuel Rodriguez, who holds the IBF belt, who has a split decision win over me 5 years ago now, and I'd love revenge over him. So that's a big fight for me that I hope I can make happen this year. And then I've got Takuma Inui that holds a WBA belt, so I'd love to fight him as well and try and get one back there. Obviously, his brother beat me, so try and get the brother. And then obviously there's the WBC belt as well with Nakatani, who's about to fight Santiago. So there's obviously history with Nakatani and my brother. So if he beats Santiago or whoever wins that belt, then mate, I just want to fight the other champions, and I want to be involved in the biggest and best fights possible, and the fights that the fans want to see. I'm ready to fight anyone. I believe I'm the best in the division, and now it's about proving that.
No, that was actually one of my questions. Was you looking forward to the Emmanuel Rodriguez rematch? Like, was you going to pursue it and try to get that back?
Definitely, mate. Definitely. It's I felt I won the first time. It was a very close fight, obviously, but that really hurt, losing that narrow decision. It was 115, 113 to me, and then the other two cards 115, 113 to him. So that hurt, and I've always wanted to fight him and get revenge there. I believe I've improved so much since that first fight, and I'm very confident that I beat him if we were to step in the ring again. And now it's even bigger because he obviously holds the IBF belt at the moment. So it's a unification fight. There's more on the line. It's a huge fight, and he's keen for it too. We've shared a couple of DMs on Instagram, and we're both very keen to make the fight happen. I'd love to have that fight next. I think it looks like he's about to go to purse bids because he's got his mandatory due. But look, we'll wait and see. I'd love to fight him this year, and I'm looking to fight in May. So if we can make it happen in May, that would be my preference. But I would just have to wait and see.
All right.
Right.
And then now being a world champion, I wanted to ask, like, do you feel like the pressure on your back, like people coming, gunning for your spot? Do you train differently that now you got this like target on your back?
Look, honestly, I don't really think it's changed too much. I've always been so driven and so determined that I've always trained super hard for every single fight, whether I'm fighting for the belt or defending the belt. Um, and as we saw in my last fight, everyone who I fight now is going to be super hungry to try and take my belt away from me and try and achieve their dream of becoming a champion. But as I showed, I'm still so hungry to achieve more. So even though there is the pressure, perhaps, or these guys are coming to try and take away my belt, they don't want it as bad as I wanted it, and I showed that in my last fight that I'm still so hungry. Even though I've achieved the dream of becoming a champion, I'm not satisfied. I know I can achieve more, and I'm going to be a very hard man to beat.
And what was anyway little brother name?
Takuma.
Yeah, Katuma. Going back to him and Nakatani, do you kind of view those fights as like avenging fights? Because if you fight anyway, brother, it's like avenging yourself, and then if you fight Nakatani, it's like avenging your brother. Like, is that part of the reason you want those fights?
Yeah, for sure, and that's what's so interesting about all these other champions is there's history there, there's a storyline there, and there's revenge there. I know beating Takuma is not beating Naoya,
Yeah.
but it's the next best thing, and his brother obviously is close to his heart, and obviously his brother's trying to achieve great things in the sport as well. And he's a champion. He's holding a belt, so it's a big fight. And I think if I can get one over him, it would feel nice to I guess get some form of revenge. Obviously, it's not beating him, but
Yeah.
there's indirect revenge there, and I'm sure it'll feel sweet if I was to beat his brother. So that's a big fight, and obviously the Inui name is huge in Japan, and that's going to be a big fight. I'm happy to travel to Japan for that fight, so hopefully we can make that one happen too.
What about do you see any potential fight with Bam Rodriguez? He fought as high as 115. Can you see you and him getting in the ring in the future?
Oh man, you never say never. All these fights are possibilities. Anyone around my weight division, of course, these fights can happen if the interest is there. I know his last fight was at 112, so it's a fair jump. But yeah, as you said, he did jump up to 115, and it looks like he's going back up to 115 and possibly fighting Estrada next. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, that is a potential future fight. And yeah, I mean, I really rate Bam, but I'm willing to fight anyone in the world. I've stepped in against Naoya, who's pound for pound number one or number two. I'm not scared to take on the tough fights. So yeah, that is a potential fight. We'll just have to wait and see where he goes and what direction he wants to travel. But yes, as I said, you never say never. I'm willing to fight anyone in the sport, and I want to be involved in those big fights that the fans want to see. So if that's a fight people want to see, then yeah, I'm all for it.
And then like having a twin brother, man. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have competed all your lives. You know what I mean? Does that still like motivate you, and does he still like push you to this day to be who you are? To compete like a world champion, to train like a world champion?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm very fortunate to have my twin brother boxing and training with me every day. I think it's really helped both of us in our careers. In early days, we'd be super competitive against each other, and we always just want to spar each other and beat each other. But as we've become a bit more mature and grown up, we've really helped each other. And yeah, we're in the gym every single day training alongside each other, and every sparring session he has, I'll watch, and vice versa. And if I see something that I think he can improve on, or something he needs to work on, we'll tell each other, and we really keep each other progressing to new levels. We don't want the other one to slip away or get form bad habits. So yeah, we really help each other. We push each other a lot. We spar each other here and there, but more so we just watch each other and help each other and make sure that we're constantly improving. And I'm confident he's going to have a good year this year. He finished last year with a good win, and he's got himself back in the world ratings. So he's looking to become a champion again this year, and I hope he gets that opportunity. He's training very hard, so yeah, I'll be supporting him every step of the way, and I'm confident that we can both be champions at the same time, which has always been the dream.
Yeah, that was literally my next question. Is like that the goal for y'all to both go home as world champions at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. And we had that opportunity last May, obviously, where
Yeah.
I fought 1 week before Andrew, and that was always the dream that we'd both win and both get on that plane back to Australia with our world title belts. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But the story's not finished yet. He's still hungry. He's still in the gym working hard, and his opportunities will come. So I'm confident we can do it. We can both be champions at the same time, and that'd be a very special moment for the family.
At what age do you and your twin brother feel like that y'all basically decided that y'all was going to take care of your family with the sport? What age did it really set in for y'all?
Well, we turned professional at the age of 24, and at that stage, I remember having the conversation with my dad and deciding that I was going to go professional and do this as a job, do it for a living. And from the get-go, as soon as we turned professional, it was always to be at the highest level. I wasn't interested in just turning professional and being an Australian champion or fighting domestically. It was always to be at the very top. And he said he will support us every step of the way. But if we find our level and we start to slip or we start to lose or we're getting beaten, then he'll tell us enough's enough. We're not in the sport to be opponents or to just I guess be like a gatekeeper. We're in the sport to be at the top, and that's always been the goal. So I feel very fortunate, very blessed that I get to do this as a job. I love what I do. I love the sport, and traveling the world and fighting on the big stage is an absolute blessing. So I feel very fortunate, and I want to do this as long as I can. I'm 33 now, but still feel like I've got a lot more to achieve, and I still feel I'm in my prime. So hopefully we got some successful years ahead.
Do fights like your last fight like kind of excite you? Because then everybody loves a knockout, but like you guys went to war. You know what I mean? The whole 12, it was a great fight. Like, do fights like that excite you and like get you up in the morning to do what you love to do?
Yeah, definitely. It was that was a special fight. That's a fight that'll always be remembered in my career, and one that I'll always look back on. Um, you know, uh, Growing up and watching the classics, the wars that everyone talks about and remembers, the back and forth battles like Barrera Morales and Gaddy Ward and all them. You sort of, as a fighter, you want to be involved in fights like that the fans really love, and you don't want to be going to war every single time like that. I was pretty battered and bruised and sore after the fight, but it felt good, and everyone that I've spoken to since the fight just loved what they saw, and I think it's definitely helped my profile as a fighter, and hopefully it gets people excited to follow me and to watch me when I fight next, because they know that they're going to be in for a great fight. Sometimes I've had to win fights with more discipline and box more and use my skills more. But it was nice to actually go out there and just put it all on the line and show the warrior that I am, if I need to be, and show how bad I want it and how much this sport means to me. So yeah, if that's what it takes, biting down on the mouth guard and going to war and standing toe to toe and having those fan friendly fights, and I'll do that every time if that's what's necessary. It's always, for me, it's always whatever it takes to win the fight, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, that was the best fight the year so far, 2024 so far for sure.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying. Obviously it's very early in the year, but it means a lot to hear that from people, especially the true boxing fans that appreciate what it takes to deliver a performance like that. And hats off to Sanchez. Obviously it takes two to tango, and to make a fight like that, he was obviously extremely hungry, and nothing but respect to him for bringing that fight out of me and for putting that fight on for the fans. It's as I said, it's one that I always remember.
Do you remember like kind of your mindset in the fight in terms of like what you was thinking, or like do you remember when you realized, like, did you catch it early, like this gonna be one of those nights?
Yeah, probably after, there's even the second round, or probably the second round. I felt like the first two were very close rounds, but my initial game plan of, I guess, outboxing him and using my jab and controlling the distance wasn't quite working the way I'd hoped. My timing was a little bit off, and my jab wasn't quite landing. And credit to him, he was obviously came out firing. He was very hungry, so that made it difficult. But yeah, in that small ring, I was just having trouble outboxing him the way I probably envisioned I would. I thought I knew it was going to be a hard fight. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't
Hmm.
overlooking him, but I probably felt I would outbox him a little easier. Uh, but yeah, he came out hard, and I guess I probably gave him the first round, and then the second was still too close for comfort. So I don't like, you know, leaving those rounds so super close. So I thought
Yeah.
I'm gonna change things up here and sit him with him a bit more and try and get him on the back foot. And once I got him on the back foot, I felt that I'd really controlled the fight. Uh, there was obviously great momentum shifts throughout the whole fight, and we both
Yeah.
had our moments. But I felt I finished the fight strong. Definitely won the championship rounds, and that was the difference. So yeah, early on, I thought, plan A isn't working, but you got to be able to adapt in this sport. Sometimes the game plan doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, but you got to be able to adapt on the fly and switch it up. And thankfully, I'm not one dimensional. And yeah, when my boxing at length wasn't working, I'm happy to sit in the pocket and fight on the inside. And lucky I'm a fairly well-rounded fighter, and I was still able to win the fight and fight him probably where he's at his strengths. That's where he wanted the fight, but I showed that I can fight on the inside too, and put on a great fight for the fans, obviously.
No, yeah, it was definitely a bunch of momentum shifts. It seemed like whoever was pressing forward was taking the momentum, but it was like both of y'all do it, like both. It's like y'all both was adjusting to each other, and then the next person to make an adjustment right after, and then the next person to make an adjustment. It was a good fight, but you definitely won 11 and 12 to win the fight.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. And yeah, I mean, credit to him. He was able to, switch, I guess, get that momentum at different times throughout the fight. But I think I limited the amount of moments he was having, um, and I think I was able to control the majority of each round. And that's the way it is. People see the scoring, and they always want to say it was a robbery and things like that. But you got to score each round, round for round. And I felt like I was winning the majority of each rounds. He was having small moments throughout rounds, but as a round, scoring the round as a whole, I was doing enough to win the rounds. And that's what it comes down to. That's the sport. You have to be experienced enough and know how this works. And I think I finished the rounds very strong, which obviously plays a part in the judge's mind of when they're scoring the round. If you finish the round strong, you're going to give yourself a good chance of winning the round, and that's what I was doing.
And how did you sign the top ring, right?
Yep, that's right. Signed the top
Yeah.
rank.
How did
Yeah,
that opportunity come about when you first turned pro? What was your first time linking with Bob Arum and just finding out that you about to make a big move in the professional boxing world?
yeah, absolutely blessed to be signed by Top Rank. That was a dream come true. It took a while to get there. I think I'd had 18, maybe 19 fights before I signed to Top Rank, and I was fortunate enough to have a promoter here in Australia, Lyndon Hoskin, who supported me early days and built my record and gave me some tough fights early to get myself world rated. And the goal was always from him was to get me to the level where I'd get signed by a powerhouse promoter like a Top Rank. And yeah, I'm grateful to Lyndon that he was able to help me get to that position. And I got myself world rated across the board, and I got myself involved in the World Boxing Super Series, which helped my profile as well. And yeah, and my first world title fight in the Super Series, and then yeah, I was world rated across the board, and obviously had put on some good fights and gained some the attention of Top Rank. And my manager Tony told. Got in conversations with Top Rank and a few other promoters at the time, and we had other offers, but as soon as we got the offer from Top Rank, I jumped at it. I know, the proof's in the pudding. They've always developed some of the best fighters ever. That some of the greatest of all times have all been promoted by Top Rank. And as soon as I was given that opportunity to sign with Top Rank, it was a dream come true. And it's it's something I'm very grateful for. They've given me great opportunities throughout the years, and obviously they gave me the opportunity to achieve my dream and become a world champion. And now I'm defending the belt across the world and doing what I love every day, as I said. So I'm so grateful that I get to do this, and obviously I couldn't do it without a promoter like Top Rank. So I'm very grateful to them and the opportunities they've given me.
You preparing for a fight, do you is there some guys that you like getting work in with, or is there some specific guys that you bring in each camp? Who are some guys that kind of bring the best out you to get ready for these championship bouts, man? You defending it, the better at a high level. Who are some guys that kind of help you out?
Oh, look, I'll get as much good sparring as I can in Australia. There's some really good guys around here that I get working with, which is great. But then I always do at least a month, usually a month in Las Vegas, and we'll get some good sparring out in Vegas. But I'll generally bring in my own sparring partners because we like to have guys that's their job, is to help me, and we get them to sit down and watch my opponent. We tell them, this is how my opponent fights. I need you to try and replicate this guy as best you can, and throw these punches and put the pressure on like this and hold your hands up like this. And we try and do everything as professional as we possibly can. The last two fights, I've used a Filipino sparring partner, Arthur Villanueva, who's a great sparring partner. He's a great listener, a very experienced guy, and he will sit down and watch my opponent and make sure that he's doing the same sort of punches, the same sort of movements, and putting the same sort of pressure on like that. So I'm grateful to him. And my last fighter I used a Mexican, Javier Pedroza, who's actually a former opponent of mine. He actually reached out to me by chance and just sent me a message on Instagram and said that he didn't currently have a promoter or a manager, any opportunities or any way I could help him. He'd be grateful. And I said, can you help me? And I'll fly you out and obviously pay you to be my sparring partner if you want to come out to Las Vegas. And yeah, he jumped on a plane and flew out and helped me. And obviously that time of year, I'm asking someone to fly away from their family and be away for Christmas and everything like that. So I was grateful to both of those guys for the work that they put in, and they helped me prepare very well for that fight. And obviously, as you saw, I was in great condition. Went the 12 rounds strong, working as hard as I could every round. So yeah, I'm grateful to those guys, and yeah, anyone that helps me along the way. But yeah, we'll always bring in a couple of sparring partners. Guys are going to push me to my limit.
Talk about your amateur background. What's the highest level of amateur competition that you and your brother got to compete in? Because I don't know how it works in Australia. I know over here in the USA you got the nationals and things like that. What was it in Australia?
Yeah, so I had nearly 80 amateur fights. I think I had 78 amateur fights. And yeah, won multiple national titles. A competition out here that you wouldn't be aware of is the Commonwealth Games. So I guess for us, the level below the Olympics is the Commonwealth Games. It's a multi-nation tournament where you fly in, and there's every other sport, just like the Olympics, just on a slightly smaller scale, given that it's not the whole world. But that was a pinnacle for me, the Commonwealth Games out in 2010, which was in India. I had a great win out there, beating Michael Conlon from Ireland. And then unfortunately lost the next round and missed out on a medal. But I was 19 at the time, and that was a great international tournament, which really helped me develop. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to travel the world as an amateur with the Australian team, and went and trained and competed in Cuba and Russia and America, and yeah, all around the world. It was very fortunate. But yeah, unfortunately in 2012 I missed out on the Olympic Games, as did my brother, which was the dream at the time as an amateur. The goal was always Olympic Games, but it was just a setback. I had plenty of setbacks along the way in the amateurs. Didn't have the world's best amateur career, but just got as much experience as I could, and the goal was always to become professional. And yeah, I had some great fights, some great experiences, and traveled the world with the Australian team. But after in 2014, I decided that I was 24. I wasn't getting any younger, and that was the right time to turn professional and chase world titles.
You know, they say boxing like it be a lot of politics, a lot of bad business. Is there anything on the business side of professionals that kind of threw you off and kind of made you dislike it a little bit?
Not really, mate. I've been pretty fortunate. I think, obviously, being aligned with a great promoter like Top Rank, you don't see too much of the bad side of boxing. Obviously, you hear the stories and know of guys that have experienced that. But no, I've been quite fortunate, and Top Rank have looked after me well, and I've got good people around me. You know, a great manager, Tony Tolge, a great coach, Angelo Hyder, and I think if you surround yourself with the right people, this is a great sport. Obviously, there is bad people in the business. There's bad people in every business in the world, and sometimes boxing gets a bad rap. But no, I've enjoyed my experience with boxing, and I've been quite fortunate.
Top Rank, obviously you guys, it's a lot of great fighters on the promotion. Is some guys you kind of like got your eye on, not as like a fight, but just like as a fan? It's just a lot of guys that you might come across, being a fighter on the same promotion. There's some guys that you kind of be like, yeah, he probably gonna be a world champion one day, or some guys you kind of are prospects now that you could see doing great things in the sport.
Yeah, I'll try and think of some prospects, but yeah, being signed with Top Rank is amazing. When I have my training camps out at the Top Rank gym in Vegas, you're training alongside or watching guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, and these guys are always in and out of the gym, and to be, I guess, amongst that sort of greatness is, it's a blessing. I love. I'm a massive boxing fan as well as a fighter. So seeing those guys train and, being able to sit ringside and watch guys like Shakur Stevenson spar 12 rounds, that's priceless experience. You learn so much just watching these guys. They're so good. And yeah, there's some great prospects coming through. I met Shushu last time I was out in Vegas. Didn't get to watch him train, but I'm a fan of his and what he's doing at the moment in the sport. So, yeah, as I said, I'm a massive boxing fan, and Top Rank have got a great stable of fighters at the moment. Big fan of guys that I just mentioned, like Shakur and Oscar Valdez and all these guys. So it's great to be a part of the Top Rank family and rubbing shoulders with these guys.
Who was like your favorite fighter growing up as a kid? Who's somebody that you looked up to?
As a kid, a fighter called Danny Green. He's an Australian fighter. I don't know if you've seen Danny Green before, but he was the first professional fighter that drew me to the sport. I loved the way he fought. He was a knockout artist, and the guy that he is outside of the ring, just a true legend, a great person who I've been fortunate enough to meet and become mates with, and he's really helped me with my career and given me the path to follow, and he connected me with my trainer and my manager, and really showed me the path to go to get the best out of myself. So yeah, he was my first real, I guess, idol in the sport, Danny Green. And and since I just love the sport and watch so many different fighters. Hard to actually just pick one. When you get asked the question, who's your favorite fighter or favorite fighter of all time, that's a tough question. But love watching the Four Kings. Love watching those guys, and more recently, love guys like Canelo and Bud Crawford and those sort of guys. I'm a real boxing fan. I love watching the fights, and I'll watch and study as many fighters as I can, and try to pick different parts of their game that I can try and implement into mine. I think you can learn so much from watching boxing, and that's something I do a lot. I love watching the big fights and get into as many big fights as I can.
Speaking of big fights, how did you feel about the Bud versus Spence? Did you feel it was gonna go that way, or were you shocked?
I thought Bud would win, but that convincingly was a surprise. That he just showed how damn good he is. I didn't think it would be that easy, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bud Crawford, and I did expect him to win, but that was incredible. And really looking forward to seeing what he does next, whether it's the rematch. Uh, I hope it's not. I hope he goes and fights another big name. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what he does next. I'm a huge fan.
How high in weight do you feel like you can go? You good at 118, or do you want to become a 2 division champion, or are you trying to just unify 118 and undisputed?
Yeah, at the moment the goal is to unify and become undisputed. You know, 118 is a good division for me. I don't make it comfortably, but I'm I think I'm a good size bantamweight, and I make the weight through discipline, which
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. It should take discipline to make your weight. Um, but I've had probably 16 fights at 122. I started my career at 122, so you know I could easily move up to that division if the opportunity was right, and fight at super bantamweight and hopefully become a 2 division champion one day. But at the moment, yeah, as I said, the 118 is a great division for me, and I'm definitely looking to unify the division and take on the other champions. So at the moment, 118 is for me.
Is it any potential opponents talks? Like, have your team reached out to you and gave you options of who you might or might not fight yet, or you haven't got there yet?
No, I haven't really got there yet. So we'll have those discussions hopefully this week. I'll get back in the gym this week and start working towards May 12. Obviously, Lomachenko Cambosis in Australia is a huge card, and that's the card that I'm hoping to be on. And hopefully, it's the biggest and best fight that we can get. I would love a unification fight on May 12, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what plans Top Rank have and my manager has. I'm not too sure if there's a mandatory due for me soon, but yeah, mate, I want the biggest and best fight possible. I'd really love to fight Rodriguez on that May 12 card, but we'll have to see what he's doing with his mandatory. But yeah, the discussions haven't started yet. But for me, I don't get too involved in that part of the game. I just want to date. I just want to fight. I just want to be active, and it looks like May 12 is the date. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's obviously a massive super fight here in Australia. Having Lomachenko come down under is huge. It'll be a great atmosphere, and obviously for me to defend my title or fight for another belt in Australia is huge. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I appreciate you. Like I said, Jason, it was really a pleasure having you on, man. I really appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me on, guys. And thanks for reaching out. It's good to chat. We'll stay in touch.
You could give out your social medias and let everybody know where they can follow you at and find you at.
Yeah, I'm at Jason Moloney on Instagram, at Jason Moloney1 on Twitter, and the website teammoloney.com. So yeah, maybe if people can follow the journey, I appreciate everyone's support. And yeah, there'll be another great fight coming, hopefully May 12th.